I am Shalini Kumar. I am here to take you through the worldwide developments in alcoholic beverages and hospitality sectors of the last few days. The companies which now manufacture both alco beverages as well as alcohol based hand sanitizers in India shall be liable to pay GST on hand sanitizers and state GST and VAT on alco beverages. Recently, the issues was examined by Appellate Authority for Advance Ruling in two cases. It was ruled that alcohol-based hand sanitizers shall be subject to a GST levy of 18%, 9% CGST and 9% SGST. However, the GST rate on hand sanitizers has been reduced to 5% for the period starting from 14 June to 30th September. And today we have Mr. Sanjeev Agrawal, a renowned chartered accountant and a tax expert with us to tell us more about this subject. Welcome to the show, Sanjeev ji. Can you explain that will this relief of reduction of GST from 18 to 5% not be available to sanitizers making companies after 30th September?
Thank you, Shalini ji, for inviting me on this Spitz TV channel. As of now, the notification says that the exemption, the rate reduction is applicable only up to 30th September. But given the possibility of COVID third wave, I think it will get extended.
What was the rationale behind the reduction and why it is not being made a permanent relief for such an important product in COVID times?
You see, the background of this reduction in rate is that when second wave was on, this decision was taken by the GST Council on 12th of June 2021. So at that point of time, all the state governments were pressurizing the central government to reduce the rates. And that was the reason that the GST Council in its collective wisdom decided to reduce the rates for temporarily for up to 30th September. It cannot be made permanent because it is against the system of GST itself. The companies will be at loss, the government will also be at a loss.
Can you please suggest to liquor companies making hand sanitizers what could be the best volume mix to take advantage of the GST subsidy?
This is a very good question. The point is, the companies will have to decide their product mix based on the demand and supply, based on their spare capacity which they can use for manufacture of sanitizers, and how do they place their product of sanitizer in the market. It will all depend on demand and supply also. And if they have the ITC which is surplus, which is not being availed by them, they can move to sanitizers, the manufacture of sanitizers in a large way.
Thank you, Sanjeev ji, for your valuable inputs.
Thank you so much.
The Supreme Court has issued directions to stop the grant of licenses for the sale of liquor along national and state highways and over a distance of 500 meters from the outer edge of the national or state highways or of service lanes along the highway. In the case of areas under the jurisdiction of local bodies with a population of 20,000 people or less, the distance of 500 meters is reduced to 220 meters. The Gujarat Prohibition Act 1949 is challenged before the Gujarat High Court more than 70 years after it came into effect as the Bombay Prohibition Act. The court is to give its verdict soon on the maintainability of the petitions. One petition was filed challenging the law in 2018, followed by the petitions in 2019. To tell us more on this subject, we have Nishant Srivastav, a well-known lawyer and founder of Actus Legal. Welcome, Nishant, to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the whole Spirit TV team for inviting me on this program.
Please tell our viewers that the Gujarat Prohibition Act 1949 has been challenged on the ground that it is violative of the fundamental right of privacy and Articles 14 and 21 of the Constitution. In your opinion, will this argument carry some weight on such a critical issue before the court?
See, the argument moved forward by the petitioners, that is to say, violation of Article 21, 14, right to have food, choice of food, and all these things. They really are very appealing as such on the face of it. Looking in the context, we have the societal changes are taking place, and liquor and drinking, they are no longer a taboo in Indian society. But at the same time, we have to judge this thing, we have to look at these contentions and arguments in the legal context, which is that in 1951, this particular act was upheld by the Honorable Supreme Court in the matter State of Gujarat versus FN Balsara, and that still holds the ground today.
In case the court denies the maintainability of the petition, what options are left for the petitioners?
See, once the court says that it has got no jurisdiction or the petition as such is not maintainable before itself, the Honorable High Court of Gujarat, the petitioners will have no other option than to move to the Honorable Supreme Court, which will be the final authority to decide about the constitutionality of this particular act in challenge uh, raised by these petitioners, saying that it is violative of Article 1421 of their fundamental rights. Uh, what I feel is the arguments which have been taken by petitioners are very comprehensive and they are very thorough. They have also taken the ground that it is arbitrary in nature, and looking at the fact that the Honorable Supreme Court has struck down the provisions like 377 of IPC, which dealt with homosexuality. In a particular point of time, it was a big offense. But the court now feels that it is no longer a big taboo or big offense when there are consenting individuals. So that has got a very good moral value as such, or persuasive value as such. But looking at the fact that the constitution mandates a kind of prohibition, there is it's a part of policy, directive principle of state policy, which any government is obliged legally to follow, to observe in order to run the government or make laws. And the fact that since the very beginning, since the very independence, there has been prohibition in the state of Gujarat. I feel they have a weaker case. The petitioners have a weaker case. But personally speaking, if I have to say something, I definitely am with the petitioner. I feel that this is a very retrogressive law, and it has to be amended. Looking at the change scenario, the change context in which we are living today.
Thank you very much, Nishanji.
Thank you.
UK Secretary of State for International Trade Liz Truss has said that after achieving the suspension of US tariffs of Scotch whiskies earlier this year, she is planning to get the removal of 150% tariff on Scotch whisky exports to India. Scotch whisky currently faces a 150% tariff in India, meaning the UK only has a 2% share of the 50 million bottles sold in the country every year. The Delhi Forest Department has approached the Haryana administration for identifying and taking action against illegal liquor vendors operating in the eco-sensitive zone near the Asola Bhatti Wildlife Sanctuary. The sanctuary is spread across South Delhi, Faridabad and Gurugram. Country liquor is produced at a place which is in the vicinity of wildlife sanctuary. Uttar Pradesh Excise Department has been infused with a young force as 130 newly recruited excise inspectors joined the department recently. The biggest state in India surely needs more hands to handle excise and prohibition affairs in the state. At a time when home delivery of liquor is being allowed in many states and new startups are lining up to take a pie in the game, Diageo has decided to exit from it. Diageo had invested 27 crore in 2018 in Chennai-based startup Hibbar through its domestic entity USL for a 26% stake. Now, it is selling back its entire stake to the startup's promoter Prasanna Natarajan for only rupees 52 lakh at around 90% loss. The Indian Council for Research on International Economic Relations and PLR Chambers have published a report entitled Developing Principles for Regulation of Alcoholic Beverages Sector in India. It is the first of its kind report that provides a model for taxation for the state governments that is based on evidences and data. Report is aimed at developing transparent principles for regulation and pricing of the alcoholic beverages sector in India, which can provide the basis for designing policies and pricing models by different states. The report has prescribed 5-point policy recommendations towards developing transparent and predictable regulatory and pricing principles for the alcoholic beverages sector. These points are clear and predictable policies by the state excise departments, technology interventions, regular consultations with stakeholders, and phased tariff reduction and exports to encourage Indian companies to export to improve the trade balance. We have Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, co-author of the report, with us. She will tell us more on the report. Welcome, Dr. Mukherjee. I must compliment you and the entire team for doing such phenomenal work for the sector, which generally stands neglected. How do you think that the recommendations suggested in the report can increase value addition in India and give an impetus to domestic manufacturing potential?
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for the question. See, the basic objective if you want to increase domestic manufacturing and if you want to have small companies grow, you need to create a transparent policy environment and a lot of clarity so that they get us, good business environment. In India, the IT sector grew because we were able to provide that kind of a freedom for companies to grow. And in the report, what we have actually said is that, alcoholic beverages may be considered to be, some part of it can be regulated because it is globally regulated with the fear of health and other issues. But at the same time, if we want domestic to grow and domestic to grow in the organized sector ethically, then we need to have systems and processes in place where, the companies have a more relaxed business environment in terms of they have a ease of doing business. And when the ease of doing business is offered, there will be new players coming into the sector. Now the other thing is that when you offer a ease of doing business, you need to have a policy which is fairly transparent yet regulated. It should be well defining what are the food safety standards, because this has a health implication. It should also define how revenues are collected, what are the pricing model, and we proposed a more transparent pricing model for this sector, because what we think is that if the model is not transparent, there is a fear among the larger firms, but smaller firms, it is a big entry barrier for them. If you do not have a pricing model, if they don't know whether they are going to survive in the business or not, whether they are going to their contract and license will be issued or not. So these are some of the factors which needs to be considered.
What has been the central government's response to the report so far?
See, this report has two components. One is for the central government and other is for the state government, because alcoholic beverage is outside the GST. It is a topic of the state government as of today. Now, the reaction, I would not talk about a reaction from the government, but I think that there is a lot of interest on the tariff rationalization part of the report, simply because India is doing a lot of trade negotiations with key players like the European Union, the Australians, the Americans, and much of these trade negotiations could not move forward for 150% tariff in alcoholic beverages. We actually looked into the rationale behind this tariff, and the rationale behind having a tariff even in intermediate products, when these products can help in Indian to manufacture and to export. So there are many developing countries like Chile, Argentina, which are growing as major exporters. We are yet to look at that potential. So one one suggestion for the central government was to see that, if we liberalize tariff at above a certain threshold level, so we are looking at high quality imports. It is not much, it is only 1%. Today also the import duties are hardly 5,000 crores or something like that. It's not a major duty for which you really compromise on a trade agreement, and other sectors which are looking at exports. Indian exports need to be growing, and this can be used as a bargaining chip in trade negotiations. This is what we propose to the central government. Secondly, GST would have been ideal, but if GST is not there, then what the state should do, we have to then start at the state level. We have to work with few states and understand the sensitivities, go deeper into the pricing model, and if we are successful with the few states, I think other states will themselves take up the model.
It was great having you, Dr. Mukherjee, on Spirits TV. More elite shops or walk-in liquor stores will come up in urban areas of Andhra Pradesh, as officials of Andhra Pradesh State Beverages Corporation Limited are now on a move for the required space in the urban areas for setting up elite shops. Currently, there are 24 liquor marts in various cities and towns in the state, and APSBCL is planning to increase their number. Good news for the liquor lovers in Guwahati. The Assam government has permitted online sale and home delivery of liquor in Guwahati. It is done with the objective to prevent overcrowding outside retail liquor shops. It is time to see the new product launches. Lok Lomond Group has come up with a new single grain Scotch whisky named Spearhead. The new expression showcases great craftsmanship and whisky making techniques, which has led to light spirit. Priced at £30 with an ABV of 43%, the whisky is available for purchases online. Lok Lomond Whiskies, the official spirit of the Open, has entered into a new partnership with golf superstar Lee Westwood to promote the brand's award-winning single malts across the world. Golf star Westwood worked with Lok Lomond Whiskies master blender Michael Henry to create and select the Lee Westwood Single Cask First Edition. Bacardi has introduced the most mixable flavor innovation with the launch of Bacardi Tropical, a limited edition flavored rum. Bacardi Tropical is said to be inspired by its Caribbean roots. Taiwanese distillery Kavlan has announced the exclusive gift series inspired by Taiwan's native exotic species, which illustrate auspicious symbols of hope and prosperity. Teeling Whisky Company has launched a 32-year-old Irish single malt as a part of its Vintage Reserve collection. The limited edition release is bottled at 46% ABV and it is without chill filtration. This was News Roundup of the Week for you. For details of these news, please visit www.spirits.in. Keep watching News This Week on Spirits TV every week on same day, same time. Till then, goodbye and stay safe and keep well.